USWNT crush Mexico in final send-off game, but questions still linger around Jill Ellis' squad. Harrison, NJU in its last game before the World Cup starts on June 7, the U.S. Women's National on Sunday at Red Bull Arena with goals by Tobin Heath, Mallory Pugh, and Christen Press. But in the bigger picture, compared to the 2011 game, the attendance Sunday 26,332 was almost 5 times the size of the 5,852 that came 8 years ago, reflecting the sea change in popularity that the defending World Cup champions are enjoying these days. And while Sundays, I thought back to our performance here that we had in 2015, which was actually a really poor performance on our part, and we had a bad feeling to go to that World Cup with that as our last game, said Press, who had a tremendously composed 88th-minute finish to score the final US goal on Sunday. We can absolutely. Press is a prime example of just how scary the US's attacking depth is in 2019. The American front, when Press is at her best, she does things that few other American players can do. Witness the goal. Press' ceiling is enormous. She's capable of. If Rapinoe did have one concern about the US attack, it was over the hesitation to take a pause in certain moments, like Press did in the 88th. The key is understand so well need to be able to play a different style and control the game in a different way, and I think as well teams will probably sit in on us a little more, so we won't be able to just go every time. Well need to be able. The inability to do that against Sweden sent the US out of the 2016 Olympics in the quarterfinals. But this US team, the US will be the favorite to win in France, largely due to having the most firepower we've ever seen in the history of the program. But the Americans are, and while the USWNT did compete against world-class competition earlier in the year, its last 4 games before the World Cup were against less competitive teams in Belgium 6-0, South Africa 3-0, New Zealand 5-0 and Mexico 3-0. With 2 expected, I asked US coach Jill Ellis if she would have preferred to have more difficult opposition in the most recent 4 games. When you do scheduling, you do it a year out, she said. No World Cup can. The US will now head to Europe as well. For the next week, after a stay this week in New York that was dominated by media promotion, the US players said they were ready for a quiet stretch of training and focusing inward on themselves and the team. We have been talking about how excited we are to get out of here, said Morgan on Sunday. No offense to
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park, pot.